fifth lines are truly, when it comes to influence, they have the potential inherently within them to influence life on a very, very, very large scale. Hello, beautiful people. Today we're going to talk about the 5-1 profile line, and it has taken me a long time to get to this point to be able to share about this. Both of my parents have a fifth line, and my friend that I've had for 13 years in my life also fifth line. So this video, expect this to be packed with a lot of in-depth and profoundly and empowering information about heretic, the naturally leading, driving, wise profile line, and the first profile line, the investigator, the one of knowledge and foundational information. So first I want to tap into the fifth line. So when we talk about the profile lines, we are talking about a certain life theme of people, aspect of the aura that interacts with the world in a certain way and emits a certain amount of way of navigating through this prism-like fractal universe and reality in its own unique way, which draws in people in its own unique way. So now let's get into the heretic profile line here, the fifth line. So the main thing when it comes to this mysterious yet very complex profile line is its inherent projection field. Now, because we're talking about the 5-1, the 5, which is first on the left side, this is on your conscious side. Now, whether you or your friend or maybe this is just for your own interest, having a profile line in your conscious side means that it is something that you are more in touch with and don't need to consciously feel so deeply to be able to experience this in a vivid way. So to have the fifth line on your conscious side can oftentimes mean that you inherently sense and feel this projection field around you to such an extent where you feel when people are projecting certain things on you. And if you're intuitive to such a degree, you can even distinguish throughout years of being aware that you carry this projection field and people project all kinds of such and things on you, whether you want it or not. It's just that magnetic, perhaps interpersonal karmic field that you carry, kind of like a mirror towards and for humanity. And we'll get more deeper into the mechanics and why we carry that kind of mirror. But because this is such a humanitarian, leading, interpersonal, karmic, caring for the betterment of the entirety of society line, this projection field carries the potential to fulfill certain projections of other people. The heretic line is known to be the savior. It's known to be the wise, practical problem solver that has the wisdom to deliver certain things in a way that other people can't even vocalize in such a compressed, wise manner. So just from my own experience and with my parents and my friends, this is just something that you can just fathom through this what I'm about to tell you. So I was in the south of Peru, and things like this happen all the time, but this was just really one. And I was sitting in the park in Arequipa, lying on the ground. I was meditating every now and then, just allowing myself to feel what needed to be felt. And this guy came up to me, and I noticed that he was really looking at me for a very long time from a distance, and I was like, oh, he's probably gonna come up to me. So he did, and he came up to me and he said, I really thought you were Jesus, like I saw God. And I was like, oh my gosh, no, I'm none of that, obviously, and he came with such excitement as if I was like some kind of, he thought that I was Jesus and God. Pienso que eres Jesús, he said. And that blew me away, The thing about the fifth line is, although we haven't positioned ourselves to be or look in any kind of way, or we are equipped with certain amounts of knowledge, we are equipped to serve people in a way that they expect us to save them out of the trenches that they're in. We are naturally seen as someone who can provide the solution and the answers. And this is what makes the fifth line so insanely powerful, yet mysterious at the same time. Because the fifth line has the potential to fulfill these projections and these expectations placed onto this karmic field, onto this projection field around us. And when you're a fifth line and you're attuned to your body to such an extent, and I challenge you to investigate and try this for yourself in your day-to-day life, try and feel what people are projecting on you. This is also really a big reason, because of this heightened sensitivity of this projection field. Ra himself, the founder and the channeler of human design, has a fifth line as well. He talks a lot about this. The first thing we fifth line people say, usually, besides the fact that we really need and want a lot of space, because we carry this attitude because of our past experiences of perhaps having been rejected and denied and abandoned, because we could not fulfill certain unrealistic, absurd expectations and projections onto us, that we could save this kind of people. And the trenches of disappointment that comes from that can make us feel really left out and unseen and not really valued for our even initial intention to try to solve with all of our abilities that comes from a good place the problems of the other. We and the fifth line carries sometimes this attitude, and many times we just can't help it. When we are around people, we're like, the first thing we say is, what do you want from me? What do you want? ¿Qué quieres? What is it that you inherently want from me? Because people project all kinds of certain things that we can give and we can fulfill, and we can be the savior and the hero to other people's stories and problems. Fifth lines are known to be the biggest people pleasers when they're not inherently aware and tied, intermingled with that inner self-worth and knowing of who they really are, that they do not need to fulfill everybody's expectations and problems and to solve those kind of problems. What makes the fifth line now, look at Taylor Swift, for example, beautiful example, 5-1 projector, splenic projector. She's doing an amazing example of what a fifth line really is in its heroic stance in some kind of sense. Now, she does an amazing job to help people feel safe and seen, and her music touches people like a friend when they need it the most. When people are going through heartbreak, like deep despair and grief. And when she goes on stage, she's naturally projected to be this hero and this savior and this great projected entity. But many times people fail to really see who she really is. Because when we look at the fifth line, people do not always see the real you. It takes time, and a long time, and in my experience, at least 3 weeks of warming up with someone for them to finally be able to really get to know you. Because there are so many layers that people project onto our projection field that makes it so hard to read into us. Now, with this comes inherently mysteriousness to it. Fifth lines can be very deceiving if they want to, because they are just very hard to read. I've had this multiple times in my life where I'm a projector myself, so I always designed to penetrate on one person at a time with intense focus. I don't have an enveloping or pushing away aura. I don't have that. I have one of uttermost focus and penetration towards the magnetic monopole, the sense of self of especially the generator, but each person who walks this planet. That's why, for example, Taylor Swift, she sings that she reads people like a book. She's a projector, and the fifth line has this intensity and this as well. It's even a double kind of thing if you're a projector, but we're talking about the fifth line. There's this inherent observantness towards the other, and I think this has a lot to do with the unique upbringing of the fifth line, where we want to make sure that the right people are around us and don't take this kindness for granted and project all kinds of things onto us that aren't off of truth and aren't really correct for us to provide the solutions towards. So because people expect, and they can't help it, all kinds of miracles from us, and this is where the hero energy really comes in. And inherently, the fifth line is here to talk and speak and vocalize practical solutions to the grand audience, to the collective. The fifth line is here to speak to all people, to all of humanity. The fifth lines are truly, when it comes to influence, they have the potential inherently within them to influence life on a very, very, very large scale. Now, because of this influential leadership role and energy that we carry, other people are just drawn to us. Walk into any room, any fifth line, and it will be like, oh, I'm encountered with someone with a strong dominant aura, someone with a strong sense of thinking. Yet, here's the interesting thing, the fifth line has the ability to, in some sense, be kind of a chameleon and quickly adaptable to different situations and roles. Now, this is also where the danger lies in, because we try to become and fulfill all kinds of places, situations to fulfill the needs of others and please others, and we lose our core sense of identity in that. The fifth lines love to impress, love to seduce. We are talking about the most seductive aura of all the lines. The fourth line, deeply warm, loving, empathic lines. Many people take the fourth line for granted. With the sixth line, the mystical, natural, leading through example role models. Slightly seductive. Look at Prince. He's doing an amazing thing of being seductive. Michael Jackson, amazing role in being seductive. But the fifth line, there's just this inherent sexiness about them. At many times, even the physical appearance of a fifth line is just charming because it is designed to be looked at. The fifth line is designed to be seen. So it's important to set clear, insanely clear boundaries as a fifth line, recognizing that we cannot fulfill everybody's projection and solve people's problems. If you have the gate 41 of fantasy, let's check your human design chart, you cannot help, and this is, I believe, tied to every fifth line, because of this heroic kind of energy, we hold an immense power within the structural expression of certain thought forms translated to imaginative visions that we get of how we could probably save people and truly stand out with the power of what our aura inherently has. I was dancing in an ecstatic dance in Thailand once, and we were all surrounded around this campfire, and it was amazing. So note, we were all dancing, and I just had this strange out-of-body experience. And I saw myself like just as this powerful being of light, just kind of like to be the savior and a messenger towards humanity. And at the time, this was years ago, and it was inherently tied to what I needed to see in myself and to accept myself in certain ways. But the fifth line, I believe many times, cannot help but to imagine in most extravagant, amazing ways we can be the hero towards people and truly leave a legacy, an unforgettable one. And even if that means being a being of light, flying over the campfire as this, out of this world being and so special, I want you to know, be the vulnerable you when you are a fifth line. That's truly how you get the most amount of success. Now, let's just get into the first line now, the investigator line. We've talked enough about the fifth. When we talk about the unconscious side, the first line, because this is on the unconscious side, at times we can kind of drift off of the path of the inherent lovingness on our unconscious side. So it's felt deeply, and it's what brings the first line towards success, especially when it's combined with the fifth line. The fifth line has knowledge to fulfill and to educate certain projections and expectations. The success tied to this possibility is profound. But the first line has this deep need to investigate things foundational.